Of my many passions, the two right now that argue the strongest for my attention are the works of Joseph Campbell and the HBO series Deadwood. Campbell was a comparative religion professor and mythologist who at the end of the day became an advocate for the importance of the individual and following near bliss. Deadwood was a western created by David Milch that chronicled the life of a young and dangerous mining settlement in what would eventually be South Dakota, called Deadwood. Arguably, the two most important characters in Deadwood are saloon owner and cutthroat Al Swearengen and the fiery-tempered lawman Seth Bullock. Their interaction is where my passion for Joseph Campbell and Deadwood meet. Bullock comes to Deadwood with his partner Saul Starr to open a hardware store in an attempt to earn their fortune selling goods to the town's many miners. It becomes fairly obvious that Starr is made for the hardware business, while Bullock is a bit of a square peg in a round hole. His true gifts begin to reveal themselves in the form of rescuing an orphaned little girl from danger, gunfights, and dishing out justice to various ne'er-do-wells. Swearengen notices Bullock's proclivity towards justice and violence, and when the camp holds elections for sheriff, he urges Bullock to run.
What's your posture, Bullock?
As you see.
Huzzah, then.
It took some convincing. Bullock initially refused the call, but eventually Swearengen convinced him. But why? Especially given that there were other men who were interested in the position, and given the fact that Bullock was part of a hardware operation that the settlement of Deadwood definitely needed. Because Swearengen understood what Campbell understood. Given its druthers, an institution like a company, a church, or a mining settlement will always seek to turn men into cogs, worker bees, passionless servants of the status quo. That would have been Bullock if he had stayed devoted to hardware. But Campbell taught that despite the institution's preferences, the true path to its prosperity and growth is when men and women follow their bliss. When they practice their unique calling, ultimately, whether the institution realizes it or not, it will prosper. And that's exactly what happens in Deadwood. The prosperity may be hard to see at first. Deadwood suffers a bit under violence, under the machinations of George Hearst, portrayed in the show as ruthless and greedy. But we are left to imagine, as Swearengen seemed to realize, how much worse it would have been had Bullock not followed his gut and took up the mantle of sheriff. I can't and don't recommend many things more than the works of Joseph Campbell and watching Deadwood. In the past, it had always been for what I assumed were disparate and unrelated reasons. Turns out, it's for largely the same reason after all.